Well, good. Positively Osceola, another one of our Coffee Club Talk lives. And like I say, this is not a prop. This is a real resource I lean on, and it is what it is. So, hey, we have some great conversations with folks, and we're super honored to have those with great community leaders and just some smart people doing some great things in the community. So we'll get the official intro in a few seconds, but I'll say hello to Emily Hanna. How are you today?
Good, thank you.
And of course, Representative Kristen Arrington. And like I said, we'll do the official welcomes in a couple seconds. But
good afternoon.
Anybody had any corned beef and cabbage today?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Is that something you like or not?
It's not top of my list. I probably will go for the green beer before that, but I'll definitely be celebrating some way or another today, I promise.
Well, trying to put you on the spot to those who love corned beef and cabbage. It is an acquired taste for darn sure. So good. Well, I'm glad to have you guys here, and I think we got a few people popping on, so we'll go ahead and make it an official start here. See you in a second. Well, again, welcome to both of you. And so that's the official intro. I guess I'll start with Kristen. She's next to me. So Kristin Arrington, thank you for being here. Small business leader, certainly in and around Osceola County. Also, as of recent, you are a member of the Florida House of Representatives from District 43. So how you doing?
I'm doing great, Keith. Thanks for asking. I'm up in Tallahassee right now, and I'll be up here till the end of April for session. It's beautiful weather here. It's definitely a challenging time during COVID, but we're all ready to get to work and get this done here in the next 60 days.
Yeah, certainly changed things a tad like it has everywhere else. And then moving over one spot in the video, we have Emily Hanna with us, and she is the Executive Director of Bike Walk Central Florida, which administers Operation Best Foot Forward. How are you there, young lady?
I am good, Keith. Thank you for having me today.
Well, I'm glad you can take a few minutes and stop and talk with us. You're both doing extraordinarily important work, and so just glad you're here to talk to us. I think that, I know we're going to talk about two words that'll come up. Certainly, our awareness and education. I know, Emily, you're steeped with all that, and so we'll probably look to you first, just to kind of give us a kind of an opening on why we're talking today. And I'll mention of recent. Smart Growth America just put out another report, an annual report that did, in their calculations, did put the Orlando, Kissimmee, Sanford area as the most dangerous for pedestrians in the country. Now, we're not here to go back and forth over their data for sure, but like we talked about earlier, it's a great catalyst for us having a discussion. The problem is challenging. So why don't you tell us a little bit about Operation Best Foot Forward, coming from the Bike Walk Central Florida perspective, please.
Sure, absolutely, Keith. So Best Foot Forward is a coalition of partners across our 3-county region. So that's Osceola County, Orange County, and Seminole County, that look at advancing pedestrian safety through engineering, so looking at striping and signage near crossings that are either at signalized intersections with a light, or what we call mid-block crossings, where there isn't a light, but there's a designated crossing. We also use education, so we go out and we try to inform both drivers and pedestrians on the driver yield laws that the state of Florida and every driver has to abide by, which is that you have to yield to and or stop to a pedestrian in a crosswalk. And crosswalks take various shapes and forms. And so we try to educate everyone on where they are legally allowed to cross and where they are not. And then we wrap that up with what we call Operation Best Foot Forward, which is working with our law enforcement partners to go out and educate drivers on those driver yield laws by having a decoy or a plainclothes officer that crosses the street, and the officers that are part of the program then go out and warn or ticket drivers that failed to yield to that officer in the crosswalk. Oftentimes we see that drivers didn't know that that was the law. And so we use the Operation Best Foot Forward along with our media partners to share our message on pedestrian safety and why it's important to let a pedestrian cross the road when they're in a crosswalk.
So call me naive, but as I was thinking about this discussion today, I think we're probably all in one accord in that we want safer crosswalks. We want safer situations for pedestrians. We want road safety and just public safety in general. Yet it was kind of shocking again to be reminded that we're just not focused, I guess, in all this, and I don't know if we call it distracted driving. I'm sure that's got to have some play in this, but it's just it was an amazing, unfortunate reminder to see it again. I'm sure it is to you as well, Emily.
Mm-hmm. So, and I will remind viewers that the Dangerous by Design report is put out by Smart Growth America, which is another nonprofit on a national scale that likes to look and rank different cities amongst each other. And so they use some data sets to rank pedestrian danger within metropolitan regions across the country. Though the Dangerous by Design report in 2021 ranks Orlando as number 1, we have been number 1 in the past. In some of the past reports, we are number 1. But in this last report in 2021, we were one of the most improved regions in the country when it comes to their pedestrian danger index. And so we feel that we're heading in the right direction. Our partners and our advocacy groups are putting their best foot forward, no pun intended. And we're putting pedestrian safety first. We're having the conversation, and I think that's ultimately where it begins. And by using the Best Foot Forward Coalition, we're having conversations with law enforcement partners that are witnessing the crashes out on the facilities, on the roadways. We're having conversations with our traffic engineer and the designers of the roadways to tell them why these crashes are happening and look at countermeasures or solutions to try to prevent that. And then, of course, kind of wrapping all of that up with a nice bow as far as the education and the outreach component, which is what Bike Walk and the Best Foot Forward program are probably most notable for, is going out and educating just the general public on the rules of the road. I often remind drivers 2 things. 1, you take your driver's license one time, take that test one time in your life, and you're expected to remember all the rules of the road thereafter. There's no requirement for you to do a refresher or do any type of continuing education like oftentimes we see in professional credentials in that type of setting. And the second thing that I like to remind people about the issue that we're dealing with is that it's taken us a long time to build the roadways that we have today and the cities and the way that they look. It's taken us that we're on the right track and we're making these improvements as a region. And I think that's very promising and hopeful. I'm certainly excited about it.
And that's awesome. And I think that, obviously, I'll say it. I think, you've had these initiatives that we've been able to participate in as watching viewers and to see what you're doing. It does educate the community. So this is probably a great segue over to Representative Arrington. So why don't you tell us what your part in what Operation Best Foot Forward is doing right now, how you're supporting that, because certainly that's part of what Emily's been working at, getting community leaders to participate.
Wonderful. And thank you for that question. It's so great to meet Emily finally online here. And I appreciate all the work that they're doing. And we have seen them being very, very great advocates in Kissimmee the last couple of years. So we do appreciate that. So Metro Plan Orlando, which is a regional board which handles all of our transportation projects and coordinates with Florida Department of Transportation on what the 5-year work program is and what's going to be coming up. They were the ones that actually reached out to me in regards to this, maybe giving an appropriations request to get Best Foot Forward some money to help with getting us some more education and also some more engineering to get us some safer crosswalks. So Metro Plan, what they're doing is they're going to match the funds that they're requesting, which is very important right now because, as we all know, we have major budget shortfalls due to COVID. So what leadership and what our speaker has told us is that if we put any appropriations request in, which appropriations means we're asking for money, that we look to make it be matching and also that it's something that's significant need. And I felt that this definitely fell into those categories. MetroPlan is going to match this appropriations with $100,000, and then they're also requesting from the state an additional $100,000 for Best Foot Forward. So I'm happy to say that we have gotten it through its first appropriations committee, which is the Infrastructure and Tourism Appropriations Subcommittee, which I serve on. And it also at this time, it's kind of a little bit challenging to get an item actually on an agenda to get approved. So I'm thankful to our Chairman Williamson, for putting it on the agenda and getting it through this first stop. Of course, we have a little bit more stops to go through and have to get through the final budget. But I am very hopeful since it does fall in with what we've been asked to bring forward. And of course, I will be pushing and fighting for it to get through to the final budget.
You know, I think you make a great point that, and we all realize that COVID has affected many facets of what, every single day, and it's not going to be something we fly past quickly budget-wise. But nonetheless, public safety is a big deal. We can't just ignore that because of COVID right now. It's certainly the whole thing's about COVID, public safety to some degree. For those who may not have been able to witness some of what we kind of are describing here, I'm going to play a little clip. This is just from from last week's visit. So hopefully this plays out okay. Just take a look and see what we're all talking about. Well, it hits me, no, didn't even say it that way. What hits me quickly on that is that the officer, if you notice, was making sure he wasn't going to get himself injured. That's how real it was. I guess what hits me again is so I think you're spot on, Emily. I think, we take our license and then our concern from that point is what's the easiest way to renew it when it comes time to renew. And I think if you stopped 100 vehicles, 100 drivers, and just, with no violation or warning, you can just ask them about the actual pedestrian laws concerning crosswalks, I've got to think you'd be looking at some confused folks a little bit. So it's a big deal what you're doing. I mean, I love when you guys reach out to us and say you're going to be in the Osceola County area and can we come out and just kind of try to support a little bit. I think it's a big deal. I really do. And I love that Representative Harrington is taking this on as a passion as well. So other than the sting operations, how can we help both of you, and how can we try to get people in the community to understand this is not something that's just going to go away? How can we help your organization, and how can we help you, Representative Harrington?
Well, great. And thank you for that question. And if I can reach out to you offline, I will send you members of the next appropriations committee, and we can all send them an email asking them to support it. But also, before I was elected, I knew about Best Foot Forward because they're very visual in our community, but just sharing on social media, just some of their posts and some of their information and some of these crazy facts that we hear about if we are the worst or if we're not, but, hearing how many fatalities that there are a year in Florida. And we all go out and about and, I would say distracted driving, or we're kind of in our own world or multitasking and kind of automatic pilot when we're on the road. We don't think of things of like when you come up to a light, make sure you stop. Like they're too busy trying to worry about turning right on red that they're not looking at that crosswalk. And so I think, all of us, if we just share some of Best Foot Forward, some social media posts and some of those facts, just getting some awareness out there is great. And I think that's how I've learned a lot, at least before getting elected, in regards to them.
Absolutely. Thank you, Representative Arrington. That was fantastic. And yes, please do share our social media posts and check out our website. We often publish articles regarding the laws that are in place, the Dangerous by Design report, trail etiquette, for example. We're starting to see, especially with COVID, that our trail numbers increased significantly. A lot of people were out using the trails, and there were some new folks to cycling and walking out in their community that might not have known the rules of the trail or the rules of the road per se. So, so that's why we want to be that advocacy resource for anyone that's looking to walk and bike safely and comfortably in their community. But also get in touch with me through the Best Foot Forward program and look at potential crosswalk locations that are problematic in your community. 9 times out of 10, the crosswalks that we monitor within the Best Foot Forward program come from community residents that have a concern about their safety going to a park or a school or a transit stop or a business that they want to walk or bike to. So be vocal in your community and let your representatives know that you want safe streets so that they can do what Representative Arrington is doing and put appropriations and funding towards programs such as Best Foot Forward or other municipal projects that will advance pedestrian safety specifically in their community.
I think that brings up a big reason why it's important that your organization is here, Emily, because we need to have a place as residents. We need to have a place where we can go to speak. Hey, we're seeing this. I think people just immediately say, well, let's call law enforcement. And granted, they're certainly a part of that, but that having an organization like yours to be able to say, look, this is something I'm seeing. I'm fearing for those who I work with, and not to mention students that are using those crosswalks as well. You mentioned an education piece possibly in the future. Did you want to touch a little bit on how you might move that way a little?
Well, we currently do a lot of education in the community currently, and we are hoping to expand. So I should say during COVID, obviously, we do a lot of personal events. We go out and I hate to use the word touch people, but that's ultimately, we're the boots on the ground in the organization, in the community, teaching people the rules of the road. And so with COVID, we had to pivot quickly to some virtual presentations and virtual options, but we're missing a vital, important population that might not have access to the internet or social media, that do walk and ride their bikes daily to commute to wherever they need to go. And so we still are critically needed in the community. So just to remind people that if you have events that you are hosting that have COVID procedures in place, masks and sanitization and social distancing, of course, we want to start attending those. We need to get back out into the community, and we are doing so. And so I invite that if you have those opportunities, let us know. Additionally, we're hoping to get also on the bike side of things. We've got an advocacy event October 30th called Bike 5 Cities. This is more in central Orlando area. However, we're hoping to create and expand this type of advocacy ride in Osceola County and also in Seminole. And so I've got connections and partnerships that are forming in St. Cloud, Kissimmee, and Osceola County, and would love you guys to be involved with that. So we can definitely chat about what that might look like in the future.
Awesome. Well, if there's anything we can do, please let us know. We are more than willing. We're getting a little close to the 20 minutes-ish thing. I don't want to abuse your time, but while I have you, Representative Arrington, if there's anything else you want to share that with the community as far as what's taking place in Tallahassee, please take a second to do so.
Wonderful. I just wanted to focus on Best Foot Forward for a second. I did not know that there was trail etiquette, although I have not haven't been biking or hiking on a trail recently. So that's good to know before I go there and get into trouble. So thanks again. And that's one of those things that once again shows that you don't know a lot of things until you start talking to people and you find out all of this. So I do appreciate you, Emily, and all your advocacy. And I think Best Foot Forward is definitely lucky to have you. Up in Tallahassee, things have been interesting in the Capitol. It's very quiet. Normally here we would have lots of folks, lots of lobbyists, lots of constituents that are trying to get to us, but it's very quiet. What has been a positive about that, though, is being a new representative, is that I've been really able to dive in deep on issues and really get involved and learn a lot. My committees have been very good. I'm really enjoying the education and employment committees, and I'm very happy that with where we are going in the state of Florida, our governor and our speaker have said that we really need to make improvements on our workforce programs and, getting people the jobs and getting them the skills that they need to get those jobs. So I'm very, very positive by where we're going on our committees and some of the bills that have been brought forward. So I think they're going to be a great asset to Osceola in my district, where we have 2 Valencias and we have 2 OTEC campuses. So I think this will be a big deal. One of the bills that I'm working on would kind of coordinate with that. And I'm working on a bill that would have high schoolers sit down with a guidance counselor when they enter high school to find out what programs are available in the area with Valencia and OTEC, so they can be a little bit more prepared going into high school and picking the correct electives, or, kind of finding out what would help them get on their path. And also part of that program in the legislation would also provide that information in Spanish to students that maybe English isn't their first language, so they can really understand these technical terms and, make educated decisions with their future. So I'm really excited about that. Like I said, I'm really excited where we're going education-wise. I do know it's going to be a challenging year for us budget time, but I do think we'll have some federal dollars that will help with some of those budget shortfalls. So we will see how all that plays out over the next month.
Great. Exciting stuff. Exciting. Well, I guess we should say thank you and let you get back to what you're both probably having to get back to. But again, I really do appreciate you very much. And certainly, Emily, if there's anything we can do to help you, please never hesitate. Love to be a part of that. And same to you, Representative Arrington. Anything we can do to help, we're more than glad to do it. It was an honor to be there the other day, Emily. And, I can see why you're in the position you're in. You're certainly passionate about it. And it's about lives. It's about safety. So, thank you so much for doing that. That's one of the things that, I mean this, one of the things that we get to do is meet, is really get to interface and meet, with leaders such as yourselves that are trying to do something that really does bring a positive difference. And so we thank you both today. Right?
Well, thank you, Keith. Thanks for the opportunity, and thanks for always sharing all the positive stuff that we have going in Osceola. There's a lot going on there, and I'm proud to be representing Osceola, and I'm thankful again for your time.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Keith, for interviewing us and for allowing me to meet Representative Arrington. And obviously, there's a lot more that's going to happen behind the scenes now that we've met. And yes, we will keep you posted on our enforcement operations throughout the rest of the year. And you are always invited to join us at an operation in the future, Keith. So thank you for spotlighting our program and for bringing awareness and this information to your viewers.
Well, count on us. So again, I thank you. Again, this is Keith with Positively Osceola, along with Emily Hanna, who is the Executive Director with Bike Walk Central Florida, which administers Operation Best Foot Forward, and of course, Representative Kristen Arrington from District 43. Together, we're making a positive difference in and around Osceola County. Have a great day, you guys.